Welcome, dear listeners. You're tuned into Mind-Blowing Motive, the place where learning meets inspiration and every idea helps you grow stronger. Remembering everything you learn, read, or experience may sound impossible, but it's not. Memory is not just a gift some people are born with. It's a skill that can be trained, sharpened, and mastered with the right techniques. Think about it. How much more confident, productive, and successful you would feel if you could recall names, facts, ideas, or lessons exactly when you need them. Students could ace their exams, professionals could stand out in meetings, and everyday people could stop forgetting important details that make life smoother. The truth is, your brain has unlimited potential. It works like a muscle. The more you exercise it, the stronger it becomes. Sadly, most people never learn how to use their memory to its fullest power. They rely only on repetition or struggle with frustration when things don't stick. But memory doesn't have to be a mystery. With simple, science-backed methods, you can train your brain to capture, store, and recall information faster than you ever thought possible. This guide is all about unlocking that hidden ability. In the next 17 proven steps, you'll discover practical techniques to strengthen your memory, improve focus, and learn anything faster. These strategies are easy to apply no matter your age or background. By the end, you won't just remember more. You'll think sharper, learn quicker, and carry a powerful sense of confidence into everything you do. Step 1. Focus on attention first. Memory begins with attention. If you don't fully pay attention to something in the first place, your brain won't have much to hold on to later. Many people think they have a bad memory, but in reality, they often just weren't paying close attention when the information first appeared. Imagine trying to pour water into a bottle with the cap still on. It won't go in. The same is true for your memory. Attention removes the cap so knowledge can flow inside. One of the best ways to strengthen your attention is to cut down distractions. We live in a world full of constant noise, phones buzzing, notifications flashing, conversations going on in the background. Every time your focus shifts, your brain loses part of the information it was trying to capture. That's why when you meet someone new in a noisy place, you might forget their name seconds later. It's not that your memory is weak, it's that your attention was divided. A simple trick is to create small habits that tell your brain, "This is important." For example, when meeting someone, repeat their name out loud. "Nice to meet you, Sarah." This small act forces your brain to pay attention. When studying, keep your phone in another room or turn off notifications. When reading, highlight or take small notes to keep your focus sharp. Another important element of attention is interest. Your brain naturally remembers things that spark curiosity or emotion. Think about a movie you loved. You can recall details years later because it captured your attention fully. So whenever you're learning something new, try to connect it to your life, your goals, or something that excites you. If the information feels meaningful, your brain will give it priority storage. So, before you worry about memory tricks, always start with attention. Focus is the doorway to memory. Once you learn to give full attention, your brain will surprise you with how much it can hold and recall with ease. Step 2. Use visualization to lock information. Our brains are naturally wired to remember images better than plain words. Think about it. If you close your eyes and recall your last vacation, you probably see the hotel, the beach, or the food more vividly than you remember the exact dates or numbers. This is the power of visualization, and you can use it to train your memory to capture information much faster. When you try to memorize something, turn it into a picture in your mind. Let's say you need to remember a shopping list that includes milk, bread, and apples. Instead of repeating the words in your head, imagine a giant loaf of bread sitting on your couch, a waterfall of milk pouring out of the TV, and shiny apples bouncing around your kitchen floor. The sillier or more exaggerated the image, the easier it sticks. Your brain loves unusual and funny pictures. It treats them as special and keeps them stored longer. Visualization also works for names, facts, and even abstract ideas. Suppose you meet a man named Mr. Baker. You can imagine him wearing a chef's hat and pulling fresh bread out of an oven. If you're studying history and need to remember the Great Fire of London in 1666, you might picture the city as a giant birthday cake with blazing candles in the shape of 1666. By linking images with facts, you give your brain a hook to hang the information on. Another tip is to use the movie technique. Instead of thinking of still pictures, make the information move like a mini-movie in your head. For example, if you want to remember the word elephant, imagine an elephant dancing on a skateboard. The action makes the image more alive, and your brain loves that energy. Visualization takes a little practice at first, but once you get used to it, you'll notice that recalling things becomes almost automatic. Instead of struggling to force information into your memory, you'll start enjoying the playful process of turning boring details into creative pictures. So, if attention opens the door to memory, visualization decorates the room inside. By turning words into pictures, you're not just learning. You're giving your brain something it loves to hold on to. Step 3. Break information into small chunks. One of the biggest mistakes people make when trying to memorize something is attempting to take in too much at once. The brain, like a sponge, can absorb a lot, but it works best when information is divided into smaller, manageable pieces. This technique is called chunking, and it's one of the most powerful tools to boost memory. Think about how you remember phone numbers. Instead of memorizing 10 digits in one long stretch, we break them into groups, like 555, 123, 4567. That small division makes it easier to recall. The same principle applies to everything you learn, whether it's a speech, a list, or new vocabulary. For example, if you need to learn 20 new words in English, don't try to cram them all at once. Break them into groups of 5. Study the first group, visualize it, repeat it, then move on to the next. Afterward, connect all groups together. This way, your brain processes information step by step instead of getting overwhelmed. Chunking also works beautifully for studying or presentations. If you have to memorize a long talk, divide it into sections or themes. Focus on one section at a time, then rehearse connecting them. This not only makes recall easier, but also reduces anxiety because you know you're not carrying everything in one heavy load. Another powerful trick is to group information by meaning. For instance, if you're learning a shopping list, milk, cheese, apples, bananas, chicken, fish, you can chunk them into categories: dairy, fruits, and proteins. Your brain naturally remembers categories better than random collections. Chunking is the same way musicians learn songs, athletes learn plays, and actors remember scripts. They don't swallow everything whole. They break it down, master the parts, then put them together into one smooth flow. You can do the same in your everyday life. So, whenever you feel like your memory is overloaded, stop and ask yourself, can I break this down into smaller pieces? By doing so, you'll find that even large amounts of information become easier to remember, like building a wall brick by brick instead of trying to lift the whole wall at once. Step 4. Repeat with purpose. Repetition is one of the oldest memory techniques, but not all repetition is equal. Many people repeat something again and again, only to forget it the next day. The secret is not just repeating, but repeating with purpose and in the right way. Our brains learn best through something called spaced repetition. That means instead of cramming information in one sitting, you review it at increasing intervals, like today, tomorrow, in 3 days, then a week later. Each time you recall the information, the memory becomes stronger, almost like exercising a muscle. That's why you never forget your childhood songs. You heard them again and again, spread over time. For example, if you are trying to remember a new word in English, don't just write it 10 times in 1 minute. Instead, use it in a sentence today, repeat it in conversation tomorrow, review it again after a few days, and try to recall it a week later. This way, your brain says, "Oh, this must be important. I'll keep it safe." Another form of purposeful repetition is active recall. Instead of passively reading the same notes over and over, close your book and test yourself. Ask, "What did I just read? Can I explain it in my own words?" By pulling information out of your memory, you strengthen the neural pathways that keep it there. It's also helpful to mix repetition with emotion or creativity. Sing the information, act it out, or tell it like a short story. The more senses and feelings you involve, the deeper the memory goes. That's why people remember jokes, songs, and stories much more easily than plain facts. Repetition doesn't have to be boring. You can use flashcards, apps, or even a simple notebook to track what you're learning. The key is consistency. Reviewing small amounts every day is far more effective than stuffing your brain once and then forgetting. So, remember, practice doesn't just make perfect. Practice makes permanent. Repeating with intention and strategy turns fragile memories into solid knowledge that stays with you for life. Step 5. Connect new information with what you already know. One of the smartest ways to remember something new is to link it with something you already understand. The brain doesn't store facts in isolation. It creates networks. When new knowledge gets attached to existing knowledge, it becomes easier to recall because it already has a place in your mental filing system. Think about it like adding clothes to a hanger. If you just throw a shirt on the floor, you'll forget where it is. But if you hang it neatly in the closet with other clothes, you know exactly where to find it later. Memory works the same way. For example, if you're learning a new language and you want to remember that the Spanish word gato means cat, you can connect it to the English word gate. Picture a cat sitting at your front gate. The image links the new word with something familiar. The stronger and funnier the connection, the more likely it will stick. This technique is especially powerful for students. If you're studying science and need to remember that the heart pumps blood, link it to something you already know, like thinking of the heart as a water pump in your house. If you're learning history, connect dates to personal events. Oh, that happened the same year my grandmother was born. These small links create strong memory anchors. Even in daily life, connecting helps. When you meet someone new, try to associate their name with the person you already know. If you meet a David, connect him in your mind to your cousin David. The brain loves these shortcuts and uses them to pull information back quickly when needed. This method is called association learning, and it's the reason why stories are so effective. A story ties many details together into one meaningful structure. Instead of remembering random pieces, you recall the whole picture, and the details naturally follow. So, whenever you face something new, ask yourself, what does this remind me of? By making that connection, you're giving your memory a bridge from the unfamiliar to the familiar. And once the bridge is built, the information can travel back to you anytime you need it. Step 6. Use mnemonics to simplify memory. Sometimes information feels too dry or complex to hold on to. That's where mnemonics come in. Simple tricks that turn difficult details into easy, memorable patterns. A mnemonic is like a shortcut that gives your brain a handle to grab onto, making recall quicker and smoother. One of the most common mnemonics is using the first letters of words to create a phrase. For example, many people learn the colors of the rainbow with Roig-Biv: red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet. Instead of struggling to recall each color, the shortcut triggers the memory instantly. Another example is, every good boy deserves fruit, used to remember the notes on musical lines. E, G, B, D, F. You can also use rhymes, songs, or rhythms. Think about how easily nursery rhymes stick in your head, even decades later. If you need to remember a list, turn it into a short rhyme or a silly tune. The rhythm acts like glue, holding the words together. Visualization can also be part of mnemonics. For example, if you need to memorize that the capital of France is Paris, picture the Eiffel Tower shaped like the letter P. If you want to remember that spiders have 8 legs, imagine a spider wearing 8 little shoes dancing in a circle. The sillier and more exaggerated the image, the stronger the memory. Another type of mnemonic is the method of loci, also known as the memory palace. This technique involves imagining a familiar place, like your home, and placing pieces of information in different spots. For example, to remember a shopping list, you could imagine eggs on your doorstep, bread on your couch, and bananas on your bed. Later, when you mentally walk through your house, you'll see the items waiting there. Mnemonics don't just help students, they work for everyone. You can use them to remember phone numbers, directions, tasks, or even important speeches. They turn the abstract into something concrete, playful, and easier to recall. So, when information feels heavy or complicated, don't try to carry it all raw. Instead, create a mnemonic, a rhyme, an image, or a phrase, and let your brain take the shortcut. Over time, these little tricks add up and transform the way you learn and remember. Step 7. Engage multiple senses. The more senses you involve while learning, the stronger your memory becomes. When you only read something with your eyes, the information may fade quickly. But when you also hear it, speak it, write it, or even act it out, your brain creates multiple pathways to recall the same piece of information. Think of it as building several doors to the same room. If one is blocked, you can still get in through another. For example, when studying a new word, don't just read it. Say it out loud, write it down on paper, listen to it in a sentence, and even try to use it in conversation. Now, instead of depending only on your visual memory, you're engaging sound, movement, and emotion. This combination makes recall much easier and longer lasting. Musicians use this principle all the time. They don't just look at notes, they play them, hear the sound, feel the rhythm, and sometimes even sing along. That's why music tends to stay in our memory so powerfully. It touches multiple senses at once. Another example is cooking. You remember a recipe better when you not only read the steps, but also touch the ingredients, smell the spices, see the colors, and taste the final dish. The experience involves every sense, which locks the memory in far deeper than reading alone. Students can apply this trick in simple ways. When preparing for exams, read your notes aloud. Highlight important points with colors, and practice teaching the material to someone else. The act of explaining out loud uses both your voice and hearing, while the colors add a visual layer. If you add movement, like walking while reciting, you're engaging your body too. Even in everyday life, you can use multisensory learning to your advantage. If you want to remember someone's name, repeat it while shaking their hand, touch, looking at their face, sight, and saying it aloud, sound. Suddenly, you've created 3 memory hooks instead of 1. The truth is, the brain is not meant to learn passively. It thrives on experience. So the next time you want to remember something important, don't just stare at it. Involve your eyes, ears, hands, and even emotions. The more doors you open, the easier it will be to walk back into that memory whenever you need it. Step 8. Teach what you learn. One of the most effective ways to remember something is to teach it to someone else. When you explain an idea, a fact, or a process to another person, your brain works harder to organize the information clearly and logically. This process strengthens the memory and makes it easier to recall later. Imagine you just learned a new concept in science. Instead of rereading your notes, try teaching it to a friend, a family member, or even to yourself out loud in front of a mirror. As you explain, your brain is forced to retrieve the information, connect it with what you already know, and present it in a way that makes sense. That extra effort cements the memory far more than passive review ever could. Teaching also reveals gaps in your knowledge. If you can't explain a point clearly, you know exactly what needs more attention. This feedback loop is priceless. It guides your learning and ensures you're not just memorizing words, but truly understanding the concept. Even if no one is available to teach, you can still benefit. Speak out loud to yourself, write a mini lesson, or record a short video explaining the topic. Your brain reacts the same way, strengthening neural pathways and making recall easier. This method works for anything: languages, history, formulas, or practical skills. If you're learning English, try explaining new words or grammar rules to someone else. If you're studying a presentation, rehearse it as if you're teaching an audience. By turning learning into teaching, you transform passive knowledge into active mastery. Teaching also adds an emotional layer. Humans naturally care more about ideas they share with others. That emotional engagement makes memories stick longer. The next time you want to remember something important, don't just review it, teach it. By sharing knowledge, you not only help others, but also give your brain the strongest possible reason to hold on to what you've learned. Remember, knowledge grows when it is shared. Teaching is not just about helping others. It's about helping yourself retain and understand information more deeply than ever before. Step 9. Sleep well to strengthen memory. Sleep is not just a break for your body. It's a crucial part of how your brain stores and strengthens memories. When you learn something new, your brain begins processing the information immediately. But it is during sleep that these memories are solidified and organized. Without proper rest, even the most effective study methods can fail. During deep sleep, your brain transfers information from short-term memory to long-term memory. This process helps you retain what you learned and recall it easily later. Think of it like saving a document on your computer. You can type all day, but until you hit save, there's a risk of losing everything. Sleep is your brain's save button. A common mistake is trying to cram knowledge late at night and then skimping on sleep. While you might feel like you're getting more done, studies show that sleep-deprived brains struggle to recall information, even if it was reviewed multiple times. In contrast, a good night's sleep after learning can increase memory retention dramatically. Naps can also help. Short naps of 20-30 minutes refresh your brain and improve focus, making it easier to retain new information. Longer naps, especially in the early afternoon, can even consolidate memories, giving your learning a solid boost. Sleep affects more than just memory. It improves attention, problem-solving, and creativity, all essential for learning faster. When you wake up refreshed, your brain can connect ideas more effectively, see patterns, and recall details with clarity. To make the most of sleep for memory, aim for a consistent schedule. Go to bed and wake up at the same time each day. Avoid screens and heavy meals right before bed and create a calm environment for rest. Even small improvements in sleep quality can make a big difference in how well you remember what you learn. Remember, learning doesn't stop when your eyes close. Sleep is the secret phase where knowledge becomes lasting. Treat it as part of your memory training routine, and you'll notice information sticking more naturally, effortlessly, and reliably. Step 10. Practice mindfulness to boost memory. Mindfulness is the art of being fully present in the moment, and it's one of the most powerful tools to enhance memory. When your mind is scattered, jumping between worries, messages, or distractions, your brain struggles to encode information properly. Mindfulness helps you focus, making it easier to absorb and retain what you learn. Even a few minutes of mindfulness practice each day can improve your attention and memory. You don't need complicated techniques. Simple exercises like focusing on your breath, noticing sounds around you, or paying close attention to the sensations in your body can train your brain to stay present. When you learn new information while fully attentive, your brain creates stronger memory connections. Mindfulness also reduces stress, which has a direct impact on memory. Stress hormones like cortisol can interfere with how your brain stores information. By calming your mind through mindfulness, you reduce these negative effects and give your memory a better chance to function optimally. Another practical method is to be mindful while studying. Instead of passively reading or scrolling through material, notice every detail. Ask yourself, what does this mean? How can I relate it to what I already know? Engaging fully in the moment turns learning into an active process, making memory recall much easier later. You can also combine mindfulness with other memory techniques. For example, when visualizing information or creating mnemonics, focus completely on the images or connections. The deeper your concentration, the stronger the memory becomes. Even everyday life benefits from mindfulness. Remembering names, dates, or important tasks becomes easier when you pay full attention at the moment they occur. Rather than letting details slip by, mindfulness keeps your brain alert and ready to encode information effectively. In short, mindfulness trains your brain to notice, process, and store information more efficiently. By practicing presence and reducing mental clutter, you give yourself the gift of sharper memory, better focus, and clearer thinking. Memory isn't just about repetition. It's about attention, awareness, and intentional engagement with the world around you. Step 11. Stay physically active. Exercise isn't just for your body. It's one of the most effective ways to boost your brain and memory. When you move, your heart pumps more blood, delivering oxygen and nutrients to your brain cells. This increased circulation nourishes neurons, helps them form new connections, and improves overall brain function, making it easier to store and recall information. Studies consistently show that people who exercise regularly perform better on memory tests than those who are sedentary. Even moderate activities like walking, swimming, or cycling can make a big difference. Physical activity stimulates the growth of new brain cells, especially in the hippocampus, the area responsible for forming and retrieving memories. Exercise also reduces stress, which directly benefits memory. High stress releases cortisol, a hormone that can interfere with learning and memory. By staying active, you regulate stress hormones and keep your brain in a healthier, more focused state. Another benefit is improved sleep. Physical activity helps you fall asleep faster and reach deeper stages of sleep, which, as we discussed earlier, is essential for memory consolidation. A strong memory depends not just on study techniques, but also on a well-rested, energized brain. Even small actions matter. Taking short walking breaks during study sessions, stretching while reviewing material, or doing light workouts at home can make your brain more alert and ready to absorb information. Combining movement with other memory techniques, like repeating or visualizing, makes your brain even more efficient. You can also engage your mind while exercising. For example, try recalling facts, numbers, or ideas during a walk or jog. This dual activity, physical movement plus mental exercise, strengthens neural pathways and makes memories stick longer. In essence, your body and brain work as a team. Ignoring your physical health can limit your mental potential, but staying active feeds both your body and your memory. If you want to learn faster, remember more, and think more clearly, make regular physical activity a key part of your daily routine. Step 12. Eat brain-boosting foods. What you eat has a direct impact on how well your memory works. Your brain requires nutrients to function at its best, and the right foods can improve focus, memory, and overall cognitive performance. Think of your brain as an engine. Without quality fuel, it can't run efficiently. Omega-3 fatty acids are essential for memory and brain health. Found in fatty fish like salmon, mackerel, and sardines, they help build and repair brain cells and improve communication between neurons. If you don't eat fish, flax seeds, chia seeds, and walnuts are excellent plant-based sources of omega-3s. Antioxidants also play a key role. Blueberries, strawberries, dark chocolate, and green tea are packed with antioxidants that protect the brain from oxidative stress, which can damage cells and impair memory over time. Regular consumption of these foods helps your brain stay sharp and youthful. B vitamins, especially B6, B12, and folate, are vital for producing brain chemicals that regulate mood and memory. Leafy greens, eggs, whole grains, and legumes are excellent sources. These vitamins help keep your mind clear and alert, making it easier to absorb and retain information. Don't forget protein. It's needed for neurotransmitters that carry signals between brain cells. Lean meats, eggs, beans, and dairy products provide the amino acids your brain needs to function optimally. Hydration is equally important. Even mild dehydration can reduce attention and memory. Water is the best choice, but herbal teas and water-rich fruits like watermelon or oranges also help. Avoid excessive sugar, processed foods, and trans fats, which can cloud thinking and slow memory formation. Instead, focus on natural, nutrient-dense foods that feed your brain consistently. By eating smart, you give your memory the tools it needs to perform at its highest level. Just as athletes fuel their bodies to compete, you must fuel your brain to think, remember, and learn effectively. Good nutrition, combined with the techniques you've already learned, attention, visualization, repetition, and sleep, creates a strong foundation for a memory that works reliably every day. Step 13. Manage stress effectively. Stress is one of the biggest enemies of memory. When your mind is overwhelmed, anxious, or distracted, it struggles to store and recall information. Chronic stress floods your brain with cortisol, a hormone that can damage neurons in the hippocampus, the area responsible for forming new memories. Managing stress is not just about feeling better, it's about improving your ability to remember and learn. One of the most effective ways to reduce stress is through regular relaxation techniques. Deep breathing, meditation, yoga, or even short mindfulness exercises help calm the nervous system and bring focus back to the present. When you practice these consistently, your brain becomes less reactive to stress and better at processing information. Physical activity also lowers stress levels. Exercise releases endorphins, chemicals that improve mood and reduce tension. A brisk walk, a light jog, or stretching can clear your mind and make it easier to concentrate. The combination of mental and physical relaxation is especially powerful for memory improvement. Another practical strategy is time management. Overloading yourself with tasks or leaving things to the last minute increases stress and reduces retention. Break tasks into smaller chunks. Prioritize what's important, and schedule regular breaks. A calm, organized approach allows your brain to absorb information efficiently without becoming overwhelmed. Sleep, as discussed earlier, plays a key role in stress management. A well-rested brain is better equipped to handle pressure and store memories. Lack of sleep intensifies stress, creating a cycle that weakens your memory over time. Even small daily habits help. Listening to calming music, spending time in nature, journaling thoughts, or connecting with supportive friends can lower stress and protect your brain. By incorporating these practices into your routine, you create a mental environment where learning and memory can thrive. In short, Managing stress is not just about relaxation. It's about creating the mental clarity and balance your brain needs to function optimally. When stress is under control, your memory improves naturally, learning becomes easier, and recalling important details feels effortless. Step 14. Use storytelling to remember better. Stories have been used for thousands of years to pass down knowledge, and there's a reason for that. They stick in our memory far more than plain facts. When you turn information into a story, your brain engages emotionally and logically at the same time, creating stronger and longer-lasting memory connections. Think about history lessons. Instead of memorizing a list of dates and events, imagine the story behind them. The characters, the conflicts, the triumphs. If you visualize the scene, feel the emotions of the people involved, and connect the events logically, recalling details later becomes much easier. Your brain remembers the story naturally because it's meaningful, not random. Even for mundane information, storytelling works. For example, if you need to remember a grocery list, milk, eggs, apples, bread, you can create a short story. The milk carton jumped over the eggs, rolled across the apples, and landed on the bread. The absurdity and imagery make the items unforgettable. Storytelling also benefits abstract learning. If you're learning a concept, link it to a real-life situation or create a narrative around it. For example, to remember the concept of gravity, imagine a superhero dropping objects from the sky and watching them fall in slow motion. Associating ideas with memorable scenes makes the brain's job easier. Another advantage is emotional engagement. Your brain prioritizes information connected to feelings. A story evokes emotions, curiosity, or humor, and the more emotionally charged the story, the stronger the memory. That's why we often remember moments from movies, jokes, or personal experiences better than facts from textbooks. You can combine storytelling with other memory techniques like visualization, chunking, or mnemonics. The story becomes the framework, and the other methods fill in the details. This multi-layered approach turns ordinary learning into an active, enjoyable, and highly effective memory exercise. So, whenever you face information that seems hard to retain, ask yourself, how can I turn this into a story? By doing this, your memory shifts from struggling to recalling naturally. Stories are not just entertainment. They are one of the most powerful tools to help your brain remember everything you learn. Step 15. Stay curious and ask questions. Curiosity is a natural memory booster. When you approach learning with genuine interest, your brain pays more attention, processes information more deeply, and stores it for longer. Asking questions is one of the easiest ways to spark curiosity and enhance memory. Instead of passively absorbing information, challenge yourself to explore the why and how behind it. For example, if you're learning about the solar system, don't just memorize planet names. Ask why each planet orbits differently, how their atmospheres differ, or what makes each unique. Your brain becomes actively engaged, and active engagement strengthens memory retention. Curiosity also makes learning more enjoyable, which naturally improves recall. When the brain is emotionally invested, it treats information as important. Think about how you remember interesting stories or fun facts easily. Your mind tags them as valuable. When learning new material, cultivate the same mindset. Ask questions like, why is this important? How can I use this in real life? Can I explain this to someone else? Another tip is to connect curiosity with everyday experiences. When reading a news article, a book, or even watching a video, pause to ask questions. What does this mean? How does it affect me? Can I relate it to something I already know? These questions create mental hooks, making the information easier to recall later. Curiosity also encourages exploration and experimentation. When you try new approaches or look for practical applications, your brain forms more connections, which improves memory. For example, if you're learning a new skill, like cooking or coding, experimenting hands-on will help you remember the steps far better than simply reading instructions. In essence, curiosity turns learning into an active adventure rather than a passive task. It pushes your brain to focus, engage, and store knowledge more effectively. By asking questions and seeking to understand deeply, you give your memory the fuel it needs to remember more, learn faster, and enjoy the process along the way. Stay curious, stay engaged, and watch how your memory naturally strengthens over time. The simple act of asking questions can transform the way you learn and remember forever. Step 16. Practice regular review. One of the most overlooked memory techniques is regular review. Even if you've learned something perfectly once, memories fade over time if they aren't reinforced. By revisiting information consistently, you strengthen neural pathways and make recall easier and more reliable. The key is to schedule reviews strategically. Start with short intervals. Review material a day after learning it, then a few days later, then a week later, and finally a month later. This approach, known as spaced repetition, helps prevent forgetting and turns short-term memories into long-term knowledge. Reviewing doesn't have to be boring. Mix it with active recall. Close your notes and try to explain material out loud or write it down from memory. Test yourself with flashcards, quizzes, or practice exercises. The effort of pulling information out of your brain strengthens retention far more than simply rereading. Another tip is to review in different contexts. For example, if you learned a language word in the morning, try recalling it during lunch, while walking, or before bed. Changing environments helps your brain generalize the memory, making it easier to access in real-life situations. Regular review also builds confidence. The more you revisit information, the more familiar and comfortable it becomes. This reduces anxiety during exams, presentations, or discussions, and allows your memory to work naturally without pressure. Combine review with other techniques for maximum effect. Visualize the material. Use mnemonics, or tell yourself a story while reviewing. Multi-layered approaches make memory even stronger and retrieval faster. In short, learning isn't complete until it's reviewed. Regular review is the bridge between short-term recall and long-term mastery. Make it a habit, and you'll notice how much easier it becomes to remember names, dates, facts, and skills effortlessly. Consistent review is the secret to a memory that stays sharp, reliable, and ready whenever you need it. Step 17. Stay consistent and patient. The final key to mastering memory is consistency. All the techniques we've covered, attention, visualization, repetition, chunking, mnemonics, sleep, exercise, curiosity, and review, work best when practiced regularly. Your brain is like a muscle. It grows stronger with steady, deliberate training, not overnight bursts of effort. Consistency means dedicating time every day to practice memory skills. Even short daily sessions of 15-30 minutes are more effective than cramming for hours once in a while. When you make memory practice a habit, it becomes part of your routine, and your brain begins to expect and welcome this mental exercise. Patience is equally important. Many people expect instant results and give up too soon. Memory improvement takes time. You might forget things along the way, and that's normal. Each repetition, each visualization, each review session strengthens your brain, even if progress feels slow at first. Celebrate small victories, like remembering a new word, a name, or a fact, and use them as motivation to keep going. Consistency also means combining techniques. Don't rely on just one method. Pay attention, visualize, use mnemonics, teach others, review regularly, and stay physically and mentally healthy. The cumulative effect of multiple strategies applied consistently is what transforms memory from average to exceptional. Finally, be patient with yourself and enjoy the journey. Memory training is not just about memorizing facts. It's about developing focus, creativity, and a sharper mind. Over time, you'll notice not only improved recall, but also faster learning, better problem solving, and increased confidence in your abilities. Remember, the brain rewards consistent effort. Each day you practice these steps, you build a stronger, more reliable memory. Stick with it, stay patient, and over time your memory will become one of your most powerful tools, helping you learn faster, think clearer, and achieve more in every area of life. Consistency and patience are the final ingredients to make all 17 steps truly work. Practice them daily, and your memory will grow sharper than you ever imagined. Thank you for joining us on this journey to unlock your memory's full potential. By practicing these 17 proven steps, you're training your brain to learn faster, remember better, and think sharper every day. Keep applying these techniques consistently, and watch how your memory transforms. If you found this guide helpful, don't forget to subscribe to Mind-Blowing Motive for more motivational and educational content that helps you grow smarter, stronger, and more confident. Stay curious, stay focused, and keep pushing your mind to new heights.